Secret Relationship is a Korean BL adapted from a popular webtoon, but at its core, this isn't a story about romance. It's a story about emotional restraint, about feelings that are real, complicated, and often left unsaid. The story follows four men, connected through proximity and circumstance. Three of them attend the same university, the fourth enters their lives later, through work. What begins as casual familiarity slowly turns into a love square. Not the kind that exists just to stir drama, but the kind that quietly tightens around its characters. Secret Relationship pulls you in with the promise of chaos, and then keeps pushing emotionally, until it reminds you of something very specific. This story was never meant for four, it was always meant for two. Hi, I'm big fan BL, I love BLs that don't rush emotions, that let tension breathe, and that trust the audience to feel things at their own pace. And Secret Relationship? It surprised me, in ways I wasn't fully prepared for. When I first saw the poster, I was ready for the love square. A good love triangle already gets me invested, so a love square? I was excited. But what this show delivers goes far beyond that setup. This is a story where attraction exists, but expression comes at a cost. It isn't driven by fantasy, it isn't driven by destiny, it's driven by hesitation, by internal conflict, by emotional missteps and yes, a little bit of toxicity, with a side of chaos, but always grounded in something real. And that grounding is where the show both shines, and sometimes struggles, because the same restraint that makes Secret Relationship feel honest, also shapes how the story unfolds. So let's talk about what the show does well, and where it might not work for everyone. One of Secret Relationship's greatest strengths is its emotional restraint. The show doesn't rush feelings, it allows them to hesitate, to pause, to pull back. Emotions aren't announced, they're observed, through silence, through body language, through small, almost invisible reactions, and because of that, the romance feels earned, not manufactured. There's a scene that captures this perfectly. Kim Soo-hyun is kissing Young Da-on in his apartment, almost forcing himself into the moment. But Da-on's eyes aren't on him, they're fixed on the door, on the space beyond it, where he almost knows Joo Sung-hyun might still be standing, and in that single detail, you can feel everything Young Da-on isn't saying, the regret, the self-blame, the quiet question of what if? What if he had made a different choice, what if he had followed the person he actually wanted? Nothing is spelled out, nothing is explained, but the conflict is unmistakable, and that's where Secret Relationship excels, not in grand declarations, but in moments where emotion lingers just beneath the surface. The title isn't metaphorical, secrecy is the foundation of this story. The characters aren't confused about what they feel, they're conflicted about what those feelings cost. About consequences, like Joo Sung-hyun hesitating to ask Jung Da-on out. About timing, like Kim Soo-hyun holding back, caught in an unresolved, uncomfortable situationship with Shin Jae-min. About visibility, about how queer relationships are perceived, judged, and weighed by the world around them, and most importantly, about what they're willing to risk. Shin Jae-min clings to control, afraid of being replaced. Kim Soo-hyun hesitates, afraid of losing Young Da-on altogether. Both fear rejection, and both, in their own ways, try to protect themselves by limiting someone else. That internal struggle gives the story its emotional weight, especially for viewers who value realism over fantasy. Where Secret Relationship truly excels is in emotional tension. Often, the silence between conversations says more than dialogue ever could. All four performances feel grounded and considered. Young Da-on's quiet reliability, Cha Sung-hyun's gentle confidence and hope, Kim Soo-hyun's controlling, dominant presence and Shin Jae-min's extreme, almost suffocating, toxicity and manipulation. What's impressive is that none of these performances tips into exaggeration. In a story like this, it would have been easy for the characters to become one-note caricatures, but they never do. Every reaction feels intentional. Secret Relationship treats its romance seriously. It doesn't sensationalize queerness, it doesn't reduce intimacy to fan service, and it never judges vulnerability. Instead, it presents fear, quietly, honestly. This BL explores secrecy not as a gimmick, but as a reality. The fear of exposure, the fear of loss, the fear of wanting more are all deeply rooted in the story. That said, the same choices that make Secret Relationship compelling are also the ones that might not work for everyone. So let's talk about some of the things that might not work for all viewers. One of the show's greatest strengths, restraint, is also its biggest limitation. Scenes are allowed to linger, conversations unfold quietly, emotional progression is gradual, sometimes almost imperceptible. For viewers who prefer faster narrative movement, frequent plot turns, immediate romantic payoff, Secret Relationship may feel sluggish rather than immersive. This isn't a flaw in execution, it's a matter of expectation. Most of the tension in Secret Relationship is internal. The drama unfolds inside the characters, not around them. While this works on an emotional level, it also means fewer high-stakes situations, minimal external interference, very little narrative pressure from the world beyond the characters. For some viewers, this can create a sense of low urgency, as if the story is moving inward rather than forward. Despite these limitations, Secret Relationship continues to resonate because it feels honest. It portrays a kind of love that exists quietly, without spectacle, but with weight. At the same time, it doesn't abandon drama entirely. The show fills that need by leaning into familiar tropes, almost like a reverse harem, if you can call it that in a BL, but balances them carefully. Two characters make you hope for a quiet, lasting happiness. They sit in the back seat for most of the journey, while the other two drive recklessly, occupying the front, powered by insecurity, ego, and fear of loss. And that dynamic repeats itself again and again throughout the story. There's one moment in Secret Relationship that still lives in my mind, quietly, persistently. It's a moment that passes almost unnoticed, and yet, it says everything this story is trying to tell. When Young-dawn finally confronts Sin Jae-min about his manipulation, his control, and the damage he's caused. The argument escalates, a scuffle breaks out. Sin Jae-min strikes Dawn, and in that moment, Young-dawn pushes the chessboard off the table. The pieces scatter and it doesn't feel accidental. Up until that point, everything in the story has been moving according to Sin Jae-min's design, his board, his strategy, his control. But after that confrontation, he realizes something crucial: the pieces are no longer his to move. Before wrapping up, here's how Secret Relationship landed for me. Story and writing, 8.5. Emotional depth, 9. Chemistry and performances, 8. Pacing, 6.5. It loses points on pacing for some viewers, but gains them back in emotional consistency. Overall, I'd rate Secret Relationship a strong 8.5 out of 10. Not for everyone, but deeply rewarding for the right viewer. Secret Relationship demands patience and avoids easy answers, and for viewers willing to engage with that, Secret Relationship delivers a quiet intensity that lingers long after the episode ends. If you liked this kind of slow, emotionally driven BL, check out my top 5 short BLs video. It's a great place to start. And for more BL reviews and deep dives like this, the playlist is linked below.